Hey folks, Jay Reale with the Real Deal Show, and we are on part 2 with the legend himself, the king of all bodyboarding media, as I coined him in part 1. This is Manny Vargas, and we're going to get straight into it and pick up where we left off. In part 1, we talked about your early bodyboarding days and how that moved into your professional bodyboarding career, and then eventually into your announcing career with the Bodyboarding Pro Tour. So at some point towards the end of the days when you were announcing on the Pro Tour, Manny, things kind of went wonky with the administrative side of things, and that all ended. What can you talk about what went down there?
Yeah, I mean, I have nothing to hide, and I'm only going to tell you what I know. Whether it's true or not, I won't make any assumptions. You know, I'm just going to see what tell you what I've seen. Like we said in the last part, there's so much stuff, so many details and little components that all have to come together to be able to see the live stream of a World Tour event. And just the webcast alone is intense, but also the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy. Yes, right? Got it. All the politics.
Yeah.
And just the things that have to happen to make the event happen are just mind-blowing. Just seeing Alex and Tessa McKenna go into these meetings with the municipality of all these foreign countries, sitting down with the mayor and the people that allow things like that to happen in their city is just insane. And there has to be a lot of trust involved between the sanctioning body, which was the APB, and the people that say they are going to organize it, the locals that say we want the IBA event to come to our event, to our city. So the trust factor has to be solid there, because it's hundreds of thousands of dollars at stake. So it's just one of those things that has to come together, and it's just so intense. And unfortunately, some of those trust connections fall apart. Somebody didn't do something they would, or they didn't deliver what they would. So this trust starts breaking down, and so people think they can do it differently and better. So they stop working together. So I'm hoping, because it really sucks, it really, really hurts me, because the guys that were coming up all of a sudden are shut down because there's no World Tour. The 11 and 12 World Tour, the band players, the Dave Winchester, the Guillermo Tamega, the Jeff Hubbard rivalries were freaking absolutely amazing, because we were able to see them in ginormous Porto Escondido or the Box, or all these incredible places where bodyboarding at the highest level was shown. And there's guys that were coming up ready to take over, because those guys were moving on. And it just sucks, because those guys, their opportunity now has been put on hold, because there was a disagreement on the World Tour on how it was working. And then that motherfucker of a bitch, sorry, but COVID came about that shut down the entire world. So they had, they got hit with the hammer and then another hammer.
Yeah.
So unfortunately for those guys that were coming up, they're on standby. I would love to see Socrates Santana become, a world champion on the world stage.
Yeah.
We got to see Tristan pull that off, Tristan Roberts from South Africa. But there's so many other riders out there. The Brazilians, they are a dominating force and always will be.
Yep.
Dudu Pedro, Udi Valadao, all those guys are still contenders, even though they've been playing the game for a while. But, the new up-and-comers, it's just a matter of time. Tanner McDaniel, I mean, he's right in the mix of things, but those guys have to wait. and have this COVID thing pan out, and hopefully the IBC can deliver on their promise. So it's tough.
Yeah. So Manny, definitely a tough scenario with professional bodyboarding, but let's pivot back to your personal situation. Obviously, after the World Tour announcing thing ended, you were working for Stacked for a long time.
Yep.
And eventually you transitioned into doing your own thing. Let's talk about that transition there.
Yeah. Well, before Stacked, it was You Riding.
Oh, that's, yep.
Yeah, You Riding, if you don't know, was Mike Jagat is a computer dude and a bodyboarder, and he was able to make this unbelievable video game for surfing and bodyboarding. And our little team were able to produce something that was generating revenue. But something happened. I don't know the details, but we had to let that go and transition over to a new company, and that new company was Stacked. It's a digital scoring system for action sports, and lucky for us, the APB took us on, and we were pretty much catering to whatever they needed. It's really complex, but once you get that learning curve down and show up and put together an incredible, piece of digital scoring with a community, live streaming, all of that stuff into one package, it's pretty awesome.
Well, were you doing a 9-to-5 gig, like in an office sitting at a computer all day?
Yeah.
What was your position there?
Yeah.
That must have killed you.
It killed me, but it didn't, because our boss is a bodyboarder.
Right.
So if we're going to show up an hour late because the waves are good,
he
he gets it. But at the same time, he expects you, when you're in the office, to get shit done. So, and we did that. And so with You Riding, I was the marketing guy, which was amazing. That was one of the best jobs that I was, a real job, aside from running Bodyboarding magazine for a couple years. But Stacked was, that kind of turned the tide, where all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I got to get on the phone with a bunch of, because I was the sales guy now.
So you're cold calling?
Yeah, cold calling.
That's always rough.
Cold calling, cold emailing, and you can only take no for so long. But during You Riding and during Stacked, I was doing my side gig of doing tours. So I'd be working. There was 1 month, I'd go in the office five days a week, and then do a Baja Weekender for the whole weekend, and then do that for 3 weeks. That's 20. I don't want to complain, because there's people working harder and doing shittier jobs.
Right.
But 21 days of nonstop.
Well, you started the tour thing because we're doing a parallel thing. You had the office job and you were doing the tours. You picked up the Freak Fest.
Yes.
The Cabo Freak Fest that Cameron Steele had started many years ago, which is, for those of you who don't know, this was basically a group of bodyboarders. Cameron would facilitate, everybody showing up in Cabo, staying in a hotel, and basically it was a giant party.
Yes.
A lot of drinking and mayhem and some bodyboarding on top of that. And you sort of inherited that, right, from Cameron?
Well, yeah, I reached out to him. I was actually, because he was doing it through Pitt Bodyboarding magazine. He left Pitt to do his commentating for the X Games or whatever was happening. I don't know exactly what happened there. But I was running Bodyboarding magazine, and I asked my publisher, Simon Ramsey, I'm like, hey, let's take this over. It's freaking awesome. Because I've been on a couple Freak Fests. And he's like, no way. The liability and this corporate company would not let that happen. So I'm like, shit, okay.
Can't be associated with that.
No. So after my 2-year run at running a Bodyboarding magazine, which was another awesome experience, I called Cameron. I'm like, hey, this is sitting here for 4 years now. Can I take it over? So August 2003 was the return of Cabo Freak Fest, and I picked up where he left off. And by year 3, so 2005, Cabo Freak Fest was at 120 people, and but about 2/3 didn't even bodyboard. They just heard about the parties.
Oh, no way.
So they just rolled up, and because the parties were, when you have 100 people, you control the party. You say, you call up the Hard Rock, hey, I got 100 people, this is what I want.
Oh, yeah.
And they would cater to you. So those Hard Rock parties were amazing. All you can drink at the Hard Rock for 2 hours,
Wow.
you know. And then,
Jeez.
but yeah, Cabo Freak Fest, that put, you know, that was cool to see. You know, we were making okay money, really good money for the first few years, but then the numbers started going down just because people got older and got tired of partying.
Yeah.
So I saw that and I had to think of different things. So I added Costa Rica and then Indonesia, and where we are now is...
It was called Freak Fest Adventure Tours.
Yes.
FAT.
Yeah.
Right.
And but now I do have an LLC, Epic Surf Tours. So it's,
Yes, epicsurftours.com is the website, by the way.
yeah. So my wife and I divorced after 9 years, and man, that was a rough patch for me. She wanted a partner, and I was not there. I was gone a lot.
Yeah.
So, and this was during the commentating, this was during the tours, so I was gone a lot. And so she, and you know, I don't blame her. So she separated, we ended up getting divorced, but during that separation, I was freaking pretty distraught. You know, freaking driving to work crying, I don't know how people didn't notice I was fucking just...
A basket case.
Yeah. And I'd cry on the way home. And then when I had to move out of that house, I was looking through boxes, putting shit in there. And I found this bracelet that said "Do Epic Shit." It's one of those little rubber ones, like Lance Armstrong.
Yep.
And I got it at a trade show. And when I lifted that up and looked at it, I think that was the trigger for me to like, okay, start the new chapter. So Epic Surf Tours has that sentimental connection. So it's a passion now for me to make sure that whoever comes on these Epic Surf Tours gets the best experience they can that I can offer. So yeah, and Epic Surf Tours was not available. There was
You had to buy the domain?
yeah, there two guys who live in Florida. They had it and they were running trips to Peru, I think, but they didn't do anything with it for like 2 years. So I did everything I can to get in contact with them. Next thing I know, it wasn't cheap, but I got epicsurftours.com, the Instagram, the Facebook, and I'm like, yeah, that means, because it meant something to me.
Yes.
So I was willing to invest in that. But now, the Cabo Freak Fest probably won't go that route. Now it's like
it's a surf trip now.
They're all surf and bodyboard trips, like in
Smart, I think.
Yeah, in September. In September we have Jake Romero in Cabo.
Again.
Yeah,
He went last year.
He went last year, and everybody had a sick time, and it's more personable because now instead of 120 people, it's like Jake Romero and 6 bodyboarders.
Yes.
And now it's like, hey, you can have that conversation with Jacob and say, hey, how do you do those backflips so perfectly all the time? You can have that conversation with them and go ride and practice doing that for a week.
Well, just to touch on, not to interrupt you, but when I was younger and I was bodyboarding in Maryland, the pros would come. And it was always a big thing. You always wanted to get a wave in front of your hero, right?
Yes.
While they're paddling out, you want to get like a really good wave.
Yeah.
This is their people's chance to do that with one of the best aerialists in our sport.
Yeah, and it was last year was awesome. And I'm always going to leave the door open for Jacob just because he's got that aloha spirit and he knows what I'm doing here, and it's just show other people a good time, and he doesn't change, you know. That's the thing. It's like he's Jacob.
Yes.
You know, he's going to show up to these events and be Jacob. I do want to say one of the coolest things, because I did invite him to Costa Rica one year, and probably the coolest thing I've seen in a long time is there's this super awesome wave in Costa Rica. It's a right-hand wedge, and Jacob is all about right-hand wedges.
Yes, I know the spot.
Yeah.
I've ridden it. Yes.
Yeah,
I won't name it.
It's perfect.
Yep.
So when when walking down the beach, there was like 15 of us because locals, my crew, but there's already like 10 people out on the peak. There's 2 peaks really, but when we roll up, everybody got out of the water, and let Jacob ride that
Wow,
wave.
that doesn't happen anywhere else
By
in the world.
himself.
I
was
more like they're getting out of the water to throw rocks at you. To get out of there, right?
But no, for me, the Costa Rican bodyboarders are the top of the list because that for me was like the ultimate respect.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, here comes Jacob Romero who knows how to ride these types of waves. Let's see what he can show us on our wave.
Yeah.
So about 4 waves in, everybody joined him.
Yeah, that's cool.
But I was just like blown away that nobody said get out of the water.
Right.
You know, they just all out of respect.
They wanted to surf with them.
They wanted to see him ride the wave and then go surf with him. So, but it was pretty awesome to see. So
yeah, you've been doing these trips for a long time, and you were working for Stacked. That ended, and you decided you're going all in with Baja Weekender, which you can see on your hat, and Epic Surf Tours. Yeah. So what prompted that leap of faith, so to speak?
Well, yeah, the timing. So Stacked ended at the end of 2019-20, actually right before COVID.
Your job there ended, not the company, or
the Stacked is still there.
Okay,
but it's being run just by Mike, and he'll help facilitate those companies. I mean, those events that are still using Stacked.
Yep.
But because of COVID, the revenue stream, because there are events,
no more events.
So no events. So the team was let go, and I think that was the trigger. Was like, okay, even though people aren't going to want to take bodyboarding trips or surf trips during this time. In my mind, I already was looking, to now.
Sure.
Where it's going to end.
Yep.
And when it ends, people are going to be frothing to go do stuff. So all of last year was just to set up that component for people to escape. And that's where we are now. So, so now, on top of the Cabo Exploration, which is a week in Cabo for surfers, and then 1 week for bodyboarders with Jacob. I have a epic 1 week trip to it's what Baja is all about. Dirt roads that lead to perfection.
Deep Baja.
Deep South.
Deep South.
So I got all of January 2022 set up for 1 week trips. So there's going to be 4. And these Baja Weekenders, day trips, and also last year, I figured, okay, well, shit, what can I do here in San Diego? And that's when it triggered. I'm like, okay, now's the time to do what you were planning to do 2 years from now, but do it now. So I buckled down, closed off all the doors, which was easy to do in COVID, and studied my ass off for 2 weeks, and then go for the captain's license. They call it the 6-pack. And it's a license that you need to be able to charge people to go on a boat.
Right.
And then you become a captain. So luckily, knocked it out in my first shot. So I got the captain's license.
Ahoy, matey.
Yeah. So I got the captain's license. Now I've been taking people out to this very sacred and magical place in San Diego.
Where'd you get the boat, by the way?
So I went on the hunt. And my friend Tyler Moriarty was right there helping me out. I was sending him photos of wakeboarding, wakeboard or lake style boats.
Yep.
And he's like, "You send me another one of these photos. I'm not going to help you anymore. You need to find something that's ocean worthy. You're going to be out in the ocean. You're going to have waves, so you need a hole, a higher hole
on the sides. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I started looking towards that route. And it took about 2 to 3 months of looking, researching, and found something at a price that I could afford. Went that route. And next thing I know, I think it was February when everything was all ready to go. The end of February, brand new motor, Suzuki 60 horsepower, 2020. And the boat itself it's all dialed in, and from that point on, it's been pretty good.
And you've been taking people out on surf trips just in San Diego to these secret spots, let's call them, inaccessible spots, unless you have the boat and the knowledge that you have. So you do these 1 day trips, and people can go on your website, epicsurftours.com. and they can find these just the day trips or the deep south trips.
All of it's there.
The Baja Weekender, my wife Vicky just went on a trip this past weekend, and I'll tell you the advantage of this here is, people have been going surfing in Baja for many years from here in Southern California, but there's some, let's say, difficulties potentially to navigate. Manny smooths all that over for you. It's an all-inclusive deal.
Yep.
You sign up for the trip, you pay Manny, and basically everything's taken care of. You show up, you're hopping his vehicle. What do you call it again? The
Baja Mobile.
Baja Mobile, and he takes you to the best surf, the best food. You stay in a great place, and you're basically completely taken care of from start to finish. And at the end of that, don't you have drone pictures and videos and stuff? I mean, it's a full package, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've been contemplating whether to charge for all the photos and videos and the drone footage, but in the end, it's like I'd rather have people have them than not have them. So at the end of the trip, within a 24 hours after the trip, everything's all uploaded on a private gallery where you have the password, and you can download and do whatever you want to do. But also, if you see a photo that you want to buy your friend who was on the trip for the birthday, like a print, you can do that through that website. So it's pretty cool. But that's all included, and I take out all the worry. You just get in the car and you come have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Manny's, as you can imagine, a fluent Spanish speaker based on the fact that he said he's from a family of 7 brothers, Mexican heritage there. So it's amazing the journey that you've taken in your bodyboarding life, and you're still involved with it. You have 2 other things going on, one of which is, of course, Boog Life, the podcast. Are you still continuing with that?
Yeah. So for me to be able to live the lifestyle I have, it's 3 components. One is the Epic Surf Tours, which I all of these is I love doing them. So Epic Surf Tours, I'm taking people on adventures where they don't have to worry about anything. It's essentially what we did back in the day, but packaged up and offering it to people. And then Boog Life, the podcast, bodyboarding podcast, going 3 years strong. And for me not to get burnt out on doing something for free, I made it a subscription-based podcast. A lot of people love it, and some don't like it because they expect content for free now, and it's like, well, shit, my time isn't free either. But
I get it.
But for me, my personal reasons, I made it subscription-based.
Yep.
Which is okay, because I do have a pretty solid crew that are right there. And
I've listened to all of Manny's podcasts, by the way.
You have?
Oh, yeah.
There's
I listen to everyone. I know. I run, 4 mornings a week. I listen to your podcast.
Okay.
And I've heard them all. And, and I know you have like the same guys kind of chiming in for the live versions, but it's great. You can listen anytime.
Yeah. So I really want to redo with Chris Tenberg. This time I don't want to be freaking high out of my gourd. He got me so stoned. It was so bad.
I could tell.
So yeah, Tenberg, I want to redo. And so I got the Epic Surf Tours. I got the podcast Boog Life, and I'm starting to put more attention on booglife.com.
Yep.
To direct you where to go. Go to Patreon if you want the app. You can hear the podcast through there, or go to Crowdcast to see the videos, or over to podcast players as well. And then the last thing is Bodyboarding 1971, and I have you to thank. You helped facilitate that. I came up on pretty big. Oh my God.
So let me fill in this story. I've been friends with Aaron Lloyd for many years, 30 years probably. He is a photographer in the bodyboarding world, one of the best, very innovative. He came up with some of the early pole cameras and shot my first cover shot back in 1988, January of 88, with his pole cam. And he followed the sport of surfing and bodyboarding for many years through the 80s and 90s, has an absolute giant catalog of photos. And he gave me a phone call one day, about a year ago maybe, and he said, Jay, I have boxes of slides. I want to get rid of them. Who do you think might appreciate them? And I put the word out, I think, just on the internet, and you just scooped it up. You can take it from there.
Well, yeah, I wasn't gonna bite on that. It wasn't my initial oh fuck, I want to get him.
Yeah.
It was JG. We were in Cabo last year. Last year. And JG's like, dude, go get that. It ties in perfectly with everything you do. I'm like, you know what? You're right. Let me reach out.
Yep.
And lucky for me, I already had that rapport with Aaron because my very first bodyboard photo shoot for the magazine and a few other after that was with him.
Yep.
So I had that rapport, so I could reach out and talk to him and have that, already friendship there. And, after a few phone calls, and next thing I know, my ex-girlfriend and I were up there, and he's handing over these 3 plastic bins of slide sheets.
Wow,
each slide sheet.
Thousands, right?
Yeah, thousands. So, and the thing that got me was like, Manny, these are all yours. You're the new caretaker. And I didn't even think about, like
the responsibility,
yeah.
of it, the gravity.
Yeah, so I know.
Like a piece of history.
But the thing that got me was like, Manny, I don't need any kickback. I don't need anything. Just if you need it, whatever you do to make money, it's all yours. Just I don't need this anymore right now because he's already moved on to other things.
Sure.
And he has incredible art pieces. So look him up, Aaron Lloyd Art, Surf Art. I think you can Google that. But so I had Steve Action Jackson, JG come through and look through them, mark off some A+ ones. I haven't gone through them all. And once I started digging into it, I realized, holy shit, there's gold in here. I mean, and my thing is, what I'm going to do is separate them by writers eventually, because I really want you to have those photos. And I'm still trying to figure out how to make that happen. Because I do have to recover because I did pay for them.
Sure.
And I paid for a scan. I paid for some things to be able to get them on digital.
Yep.
So one of the things I'm going to do is, this was a test run. This was just a 20-page book that I found on the internet, and this company called Blurb. They hold the inventory, they ship, they do everything. So for me to just create the book and offer it online is probably the easiest thing to do, because I don't have that much time to spend holding inventory, hold and ship, going to the post office for freaking hours each day. So I don't have that time. So Blurb is going to be the avenue. So this was just a test run. First thing I'm going to do is make it bigger, 11 by 13, or just make it bigger. The borders will be white instead of black.
Like a coffee table book.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there's going to be volumes every 3 months.
Oh, wow.
Because there's that many photos.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is just a quick little preview.
Oh, man.
This is just for me to see the print quality. The paper's amazing. It's got a matte finish, but I may go glossy. I mean, I did some editing, Spencer, Stewart. I mean, these are all photos that are sitting in the box and have been.
And for those of you listening to the audio version of the podcast, sorry you can't see this, but you can go on YouTube and watch the video version. Or you can just, Manny will be selling these soon enough, right?
Yeah. I want to get them available to people so they can purchase them and have them in hand and show up at the Jubilee, so they can get autographs of some of the pros that will be there. And it's going to be 100 pages. The first one, B-Dub, but you saw your lady there.
Yeah.
Pipe. So, I mean, they're all in here. I mean, there's so many iconic photos that are in the book.
The legends, yeah.
Wow. So be ready for that.
That's amazing, man. So you have your hands in so many different pies here, and it's all kind of working for you. Now you're controlling your own destiny, so to speak. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a lot, and it is. It's a lot of work to upload 30 photos each month because I edit them for the wallpaper app, Bodyboarding 1971. That one's starting to gain some traction. The podcast, as you know, it's work and time.
Yes.
And the Epic Surf Tours, that's, a 24-hour gig, because I do everything from the website to the booking system to the, updating the websites and the newsletters, the videos. That's the one-man show. So Epic Surf Tour is taken most of the time, but I do have the Book Life podcast and the Bodyboarding 1971 wallpaper app. But it seems like a lot, and it is a lot, but it's all the things that I love to do. So, so it's okay.
Well, there used to be a saying like the man who loves his work doesn't actually work a day in his life or something. I got totally wrong, but I'm sure somebody will put that in the comments on the YouTube.
Yeah,
what the actual quote is. But yeah, I'm stoked to see that. So Manny, let's move into the wrap up phase here. What I want to do is I just want to ask you a couple quick questions. One is, let's ask you, what bodyboard are you riding now? Like, what's your height and weight, and what board are you riding?
Son of a... The board is in the car. So, Paul Clare, I'm so sorry.
Cartel, then.
Yes. So, PMA and Cartel, PMA, Peter Naya, he and Paul Clare, they're helping me out.
Yep.
What's
your height and weight?
So I'm 5'10".
Yeah.
I'm 200 pounds. I really want to get back down to that 190, 192.
Okay. Fight and weight. Okay.
Yeah.
And what are you riding?
And now it's a 43 inch.
43.
So it's a combination of one of Roach's old Manta templates.
Yep.
Back when he was riding for Manta, and I tweaked it a little bit, and it's essentially the tweaked version of the Mixoplix, the town and country board that I used to ride back in the late 90s. So right now it's a 43 inch, kind of narrow.
Drop knee template.
Drop knee template, but you can still prone on it. But
normal thickness, like standard? 2 1/8?
Normal. It's not super thick like some of the boards out there, but it's not the Jeff Hubbard super thin ones either.
Got it.
But it's the normal thickness. But yeah, it's been working for me.
Good. Okay, so you do a thing called 5 on the Fly at the end of your podcast interviews. So let's do that with you.
Let's do it.
5 on the Fly. I don't even know. Remember what the questions are. What's the first question? Do you remember, or do you have it written down? What are the first question?
Well, these are the questions that, like when I was doing autographs, when we were doing promo tours, the one question that a lot of kids and moms and dads, what's the biggest wave?
Okay.
What's the biggest wave you've been on?
What's that? By the way, before you answer that, I did some promo tours once in Australia. We did a coaching clinic tour with Mike Stewart in 93, maybe it was. We got all those questions so often, we got white T-shirts and wrote the answers on our T-shirts in a marker. And when kids would ask, we would just point because we got sick of answering questions. So, biggest wave. Go ahead.
So, before we go there, I'm on the hunt for 3 or 4 little Australian Groms. We were out there for the No Friends video premiere. And I don't know if this is rated PG or not, but...
It's not anymore.
Oh, no.
This is a G-rated, but this one will be explicit. Don't worry.
I remember I just watched a movie, and I was just so blown away. I'm like, this guy is a genius. So in the movie, I don't even remember the movie, but there's this book hidden somewhere in the library, and the location is only given to certain people, and it's how to go down on a woman.
Okay.
And I was like, that was brilliant. So in Australia, I instead of doing an autograph, I did a diagram on a poster on how to go down on a woman.
Oh my God. Wow.
So if you have that poster, or if you were part of that little crew, one, I apologize to the moms, but I don't apologize for their future girlfriends.
I think the moms tuned out already.
Oh,
no. We're good there.
Can you beep stuff out? But I would love to just, I just want to know who those Groms were. All right. So the biggest wave, I would probably have to say, gosh, the most memorable is a big day at Sunset Beach with Kyle Milagro back when Tubes had a house on the North Shore.
You always say Milagro, but it's Maligro.
Oh.
And Chris McCorkle, you always say McCorkle.
Oh my gosh.
I've talked to those guys. I'm like, Chris McCorkle, he says he doesn't have the heart to tell you that it's McCorkle instead of McCorkle.
McCorkle.
Sorry, I'm terrible.
No. I need to know this. You know?
Maligro, right?
Okay.
So you're out at Sunset with Kyle Maligro.
Yeah, so Chris McCorkle, if you're watching, and Kyle Milagro. No, so Kyle Miligro
Yes.
and I were at Suns and Libacheski.
Oh, yeah.
Correct me on that one.
Libo.
Libo.
Yeah. No, I know, yeah.
But it wasn't the biggest day, but it was the most memorable.
Yep.
Because I remember going down Dropney, me and him, on a party wave.
Whoa.
And I was looking, because it was big.
Sunset is a hard wave to ride, period.
Yeah.
Drop knee, geez.
So both of us got this one wave, and I look over, and he's like, I swear, he was just pulling so hard on his leash.
Oh, man.
To
keep from nosediving.
To keep the nose from digging in because of the pressure on the back of the board.
It makes your board go concave.
Yes. So I remember looking over, and he was pulling up on the leash, and then that's when I realized I was subconsciously doing the same thing. I was just like pulling hard.
Yes.
And but and it was a big wave. So for me, that's the most memorable big wave.
Yep.
As far as the biggest wave, gosh, I'll probably say the biggest barrel is Waimea Showbreak.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the sunset day, face height, what do you call it?
Yeah, the sunset day face height was probably 15-foot face.
That's heavy.
It was
sunset.
heavy.
That's,
but for whatever reason, it was just breaking so perfect. Like it was like if you ate shit, you can take the wipe out and paddle 2 strokes and you're in the channel.
That's
it was
good.
like one of those.
Like a north swell day at sunset.
It was perfect.
No west sneakers.
It was awesome.
Okay, next question on
Worst
the list.
wipeout.
Worst wipeout.
Probably, and it's funny because when I ask this question, a lot of people aren't even on the wave. And for me, that's the same thing.
They're getting caught inside.
They're getting caught inside. And for me, I was in IB, and it was one of those sandbars that was perfect, but it was so shallow, like it would hit and it would just pitch right on the super shallow part. Well, I caught a wave, and I didn't even know I was in the impact zone, and then a set was coming, and I was paddling out, and I went to go duck dive. My nose hit the sand, which was like a foot deep, and it got knocked. My boards went behind me, and right then, this like 3-foot lip took my head and slammed it into the ground.
Oh.
I came up, never saw stars before in my life until that day. And I felt like, oh, wow, I got water in my ear. And I look, and it was like a pink pus.
Broke your eardrum.
No, it was a freaking concussion.
Oh.
I didn't know that until later. And the adrenaline took over. I went in. I went to work. I was delivering flowers back then. And my coworker said, hey, you got blood coming out of your ear. I'm like, holy shit, you're right.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I sat down in the emergency room waiting for my name to get called when the pain finally set in. And that's
your head just started pounding?
Yeah.
Wow.
So the doctor brought me in. I don't remember what he did or what he said, but it was a concussion.
Gnarly.
And I didn't even know.
That's dangerous too.
Very.
You could take a nap and never wake up.
Yeah.
Right?
So, yeah, that was the worst wipeout.
Jeez. Okay, next on the list.
Favorite bodyboarder?
Yeah.
Obviously, back.
Other than me.
you and Keith were the tie. You and Keith were tie.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Tie. No, but it was Keith growing up.
Yep.
Just because I love the style. And now, gosh, I just, it's all the bodyboarders that are still frothing, because it's so hard to keep that stoke of just getting your bodyboard and going out and just riding whatever wave comes through, whether it's like 2-foot wind chop or if it's perfect barreling sandbars. The same amount of stoke across the board is who I freaking get stoked on,
Yeah.
because they see the big picture. It's not going to be perfect all the time, but you can still have fun in the smaller stuff.
They remember the reason we all started doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holding on to that.
Yeah.
And so, favorite bodyboarding movie?
Yep.
Gosh.
How do you not have an answer for this? You've asked this 100 times.
But I've never been asked that,
Yeah.
so I am not prepared for
Wow.
my own 5 on the fly.
Shocking.
So you got me off guard. So favorite bodyboarding movie, the most memorable. Gosh, I think it might have been the Indo Experience. Tom Boyle.
Yep.
Only because that opened my eyes up. Because at that time, it was Puerto Escondido.
Yep.
California, Hawaii. That's all I knew.
Yes.
So when I saw the Indo Experience, I'm like, I want to go there.
Yeah.
I want to be able to ride the most perfect waves in the world where they don't close out on you or section off on you.
Yes.
And
the water's warm and turquoise.
And the culture.
Yeah.
It's like culture shock at its extreme. So I made sure that when the time came, I added that trip into, and I'm bringing that back next year. I've been getting a lot of
interest.
So the Indo experience is coming back. That's a 2-week all-inclusive trip to 3 islands.
Yep.
And to my favorite wave in the world. Which
is?
I can't say.
You have to go on his trip to find out.
So
that's if he chooses to take you to that spot.
It's minimal spots. 1 surfing and 1 bodyboarding. So I'll be out there for a month.
Sounds awful.
So I mean, I'm single, so
right.
I don't have to stress or
sure. You don't have anybody back here going, when are you coming home?
Yet.
Yeah.
Ideally, I would love to have somebody who can come with me.
Is this a call out for? I won't go there.
But yeah, no, we can really quick. It's just I'd be stoked to have somebody who can, we can mesh together doing the things together, because that can damper in a relationship.
Yeah.
As I know. And so bodyboarding video was the Indo experience. Just G-Land and all of that stuff was freaking, I still have yet to go there. So that was the last question is if I were to win the lottery.
Yes.
If I were to pick 5 people, a photographer and a videographer.
Yep.
That would be, oh gosh.
And this is to go on the ultimate surf trip, by the way. This last question. Who would the people be?
Yeah. So for sure, Roach, because I know he has a good time when we go surf, different places. Roach would be on there. Gosh, people, now I see why this is difficult, because there's 5.
You don't want to leave anyone out.
You don't want to leave anybody out. So, you know what? I'm going to get back to you on that.
Cop out.
For sure, Flint would be the photographer. Yes. Videographer would be, I love Scotty Carter. Stoker's freaking awesome too. Damn it. But yeah, so if I were to pick 5 without even thinking about it, it would be Roach, it would be JG, it'd be Big Todd, it'd be Dan Taylor, and it would be, did I say Roach?
You did.
Okay, Roach, and 1 person who won a raffle on Bug Life.
So the cool part about your answer to that question is you haven't picked your bodyboarding heroes. It's more people that you would enjoy that experience with, right?
Yeah.
Hey man, we're going to have a lot of laughs. We're going to get some waves. And that's what the trip is all about for you. It's not about, I want to surf with the legends of the sport.
Oh yeah.
You want to surf with your friends.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, what the ultimate surf trip is about.
I know they were going to have a good time.
Right.
Yeah. So that's it.
Okay, last question for you.
Okay.
20 years from now, where do you see yourself?
20 years from now, I would have all the tours all dialed in, but hire people, because I wouldn't be able to, I don't want to spread myself too thin.
Yep.
But keep Epic Surf Tours rolling, but have somebody who is 100% knowledgeable in, Northern Baja.
Yep.
Be that Baja Weekender guy. Just have the tour still there, but have that solid trust between them to know that whatever I'm offering is going to be the top of the line quality tour. And at the same time, I still want to be able to be a part of it.
Yep.
So,
at 70 years old, 20 years from now.
Yeah. So that's where the stretching every morning comes in.
I'll be 77, man. I'll be on one of those trips.
Yeah. But before we finish, I know I got to go. We're finishing up.
Yep.
But over the years, you've supported me on these ventures, and I got to thank you and Vicky for all of that, because because I know it's
of course,
when money is exchanged and contracts and all that shit, it can get in the way of certain friendships. But I appreciate it. You trusted in some of the crazy stuff that I've been doing, so I appreciate it.
No worries, Manny. You know, we love what you do. You promote the sport. You promote the fun side of the sport. You facilitate people enjoying traveling.
Yeah.
You know, listening to the stories of the legends of the sport with your podcast. I mean, you do it all, and we love that because, you know, that's kind of what we're about. This, let's face it, this is the 50th anniversary of the invention of the boogie this year, which I'll get to in another podcast. Sorry, show. I've changed the name. I'm going to get used to that. And, you know, what better year to celebrate than right now and talking to a guy who's right in the thick of it, Manny Vargas, man. You've contributed so much to the sport over the years. I know I appreciate it. I know everybody out there watching the YouTube and listening to the audio version appreciate it. And, man, just support Manny and what he does. Again, epicsurftours.com. Boog Life and Bodyboard 1971 with the books. Support what he does, man. This guy does it for the right reasons, and he's in it for the long haul. So yeah. So that's it for this episode. This is the second part. Hope you enjoyed it. I could really go on for another hour. I know you say that a lot, but but we have places to go and people to see and things to do, and maybe we'll get another shot at talking to Manny in a year from now, or maybe sooner. Who knows? But thanks again, Manny. We appreciate your time. Folks, we'll see you next time, and that's it for the Real Deal Show. Over and out. See ya.